good. I'm good. All right. I like to hold the sign up that says I'm recording just in case anybody can't hear me. And this is what I call pay what you can learning, which means it's free if you need it to be, but if you've got any money, share it. There's payment instructions on what we send out that invited you here. And there's also some guidelines at the end of all of the recorded sessions that live on the YouTube channel. And they're not 100% aren't there, but there's enough to keep you busy for a while. So welcome everybody to Contact Land. It's my favorite. Hi, Tanya. The I love training the contacts. I love being specific about the work there. I am not a specialist in the running contacts. The nebulousness of it is not my strong suit. So I have some learning to do about running. But fortunately for us today, we are not talking about running, but I can help you guys decide about running, or I can tell you what to take into consideration. So the way I decided this is a program that I'm talking about. So it's gonna maybe sound a little bit like a sales job because I have so much material out on it, but the material is easy to find. And what most people with what my friend Blanca calls training chops, people that can see something and then know pretty much how to train their dog to do it, have done real well with the webinar, which is very inexpensive. It's inexpensive. And the book together, they find that the two together, the book has every piece of it has something that another piece doesn't have. That's not by design, it's just how it unfolded. And what the book has is an actual chart so that it's for competing and training. So it's like, my dog is doing this. What do? I do that. If that doesn't work, I do that. And I watch out for this while I'm doing those things. And it's for trial and for training. So I feel like everything is there in the book, but some folks, it really helps to see it. And
which book is this? What?
It's the maintenance. It's the 2-on 2-off maintenance program.
Got it.
And there's a book and a webinar, a self-study webinar, and then there's a class that we offer 3 or 4 times a year, where just the classic class where you send in video and I get back to you. The cool part is that the program has been around long enough now that I can really troubleshoot it. And I've had enough people struggle with it that I can share the things for people that are doing it, for people that are actually working on it. I can share what are the more common things to go wrong. And so with this tonight, what I'm really hoping to do is touch on a few bases in that article. Just type in your chat boxes for me. Yes, you read it, or no, you didn't, or you could write the word halfway, and I know that you kind of got through part of it, but it gives me a little bit of an idea of how much time to spend on the article. So, okay, I'm seeing the yeses are coming in. So that, like I said in the intro, that was a 6-part article. And the articles were done when we decided to make it. People were asking, could you just have it in one place? And that's how it became a book. So today I can go anywhere on the subject. We don't have to stay in the this preliminary part. We're not doing this for 6 weeks. I'm not giving you the whole step-by-step program. I was hoping that people that were interested in the program might come, or people that are doing it that have run up against problems. So I have found that some folks don't want to say, hey, I'm doing your program and this part doesn't seem to work. Well, you guys, that's why I'm here. For you guys to say, I don't know why this part isn't working, because I know why. I've done it with bazillions of dogs, and I'm here to help. So and it can be, don't, if it's about contacts, you can ask it here tonight, period, end of story. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. It looks like we've got everybody in so far. And there is our article. So I'm going to make you guys a little bit smaller, and I'm going to make this as big as I can. And I'm just going to go over it. So Ringweiser was written way back in 2004. And it basically talked about why dogs don't perform the way we want them. It's called Ringwise. I mean, it's a term that I don't think is as popular as it used to be. And I felt like we, myself included, we as a community used it as sort of a bad dog label. Like, my dog is Ringwise and therefore he's bad, when I think of Ringwise as wise. They're wise that they have figured out that there's a whole hell of a lot less treats and possibly fun in training. And the term is used way more in competition obedience. And that's where I got it from. But all that it means is that the dog learns that there's less reinforcement or less feedback, is what I believe, especially in agility, that the dog goes, oh, this is the environment where if I make mistakes, my trainer addresses them. And this is the environment where I ad-libbed a little bit. It's made sense to me, and must not have been a mistake because my trainer didn't address it. So you guys, I feel like when we are communicating so richly in a training session, I mean, some of us more than others, some of us get really into spoon feeding and helping, and we like to wear that teacher's cap, and then we go into the ring and we take all of that feedback away. So the dogs, it's a very natural conclusion for the dog to say, who knew? Doesn't seem to matter here. And the dog isn't necessarily saying, this is the part that really gets my goat. Because what we interpret that is I hear this term all the time, blowing off. My dog is blowing off his behavior. And I don't think that that is the case. I think this is what happens. The adrenaline is up. The handler is a little bit different. They don't seem the same. They seem to be rushing a little bit. Their voice sounds a little bit more excited. Their body language is a little bit more engaged. They're not taking they're, lining up quick. They're glancing around at people that happen to be judges and stewards. And there seems to be a little bit of a rush. And my handler is pushing me to go faster, and they're cheerleading a little bit more. And it really seems important to my handler that I hurry. So I know I'll leave out that stop part. I'll just skip it here, and I'll do it when she wants me to. And they experiment and they skip it. They jump off, or they don't stop all the way, or they stop and they leave early. Those are the three things that can happen. The dog flies off the contact. The dog slows down or stops, slows down and stops before their feet get to the correct position, or they stop dead and they self-release. That's about the gambit or some variation of it. So they try one of those. Mom stopped early, I'll stop early. Mom run fast, I'll run faster. So then there's no communication, and the dog goes, oh, well, let me think here. She always tells me, she's always sure to let me know if I make a mistake. She didn't say anything. So this behavior that I'm experimenting with at this moment must be acceptable. Got it? So and then people call it Ringwise. Oh, he knows he can get away with it when we're in the ring because he never does it in practice. Well, there's things that you're doing in practice that you're never doing in the ring. So those things are telling your dog that the different environments are, it's everybody do as they need to do in this environment. dog and handler is what I'm talking about. So that's a thing, and it's a real thing. And if we're not going to take our dogs' questions during competition, then we're going to promote that conclusion on our dogs. So the other number one reason, uh, and this is certainly connected, is the dogs just aren't trained well enough. I mean, lots of people go into the ring without behaviors that aren't proved. 90% of people that come to me for contact training, I don't even care if the dog can get down to 2 on 2 off on their own. I put the dog on the board in the position and I tease them with food and they break. So the proofing, what I call level 1 proofing, where the handler tries to get the dog to break. You guys, it's the same as proofing a stay in your first obedience class. Well, if you were in the kind that Becky and I taught a million years ago in the 80s, we went to great lengths. We'd have, oh my gosh, raccoon tails on strings and wind up cars and other dogs chasing balls, and proofing a stay was a pretty elaborate thing. So not leaving wasn't the hard part. So that's a real big piece of the program, that the dogs truly know that no matter how excited they are and what's happening around them, distance, handler position, tempting, entertaining happenings are not going to make the dog go. So most dogs aren't trained to that level when they hit novice with their contacts. Mine are, and my students are, because I want those dogs in competition with their jobs being easy. Because have you ever done, I mean, you have at some point, you might have to think about it, but we have all taken tests in school that we were really prepared for, that were easy. They were below us. We were at a higher level. We took the test, we aced it. It was boring and easy. And then we've also all, maybe me more than some of you, have been in tests that we weren't prepared for, and they were very, very difficult, and they were hard, and they were not fun, and it had a lot of anxiety wrapped in it, and the stress of knowing if you passed or not made it maybe an unpleasant experience. So I want my dogs going in, and my students' dogs going in, for what I consider competitions or tests. You've paid money to be judged. A person is judging you. So I want I want those tests to be easy. I want what I'm asking of them to be something that they know. So the reason that, so I just thought, when I saw dogs making mistakes in the novice levels, that those dogs just weren't trained well enough. And that is very, very, very common. So that's still in here. And then the dogs who have the handlers who only communicate in training situations and won't help their dogs understand the clear job description when they're in the competition rings. That's also very, very significant in this picture. But over the years, we've gotten way more sophisticated with our training and agility. And I was noticing that there were dogs in the novice ring that were trained. Their contacts were rock solid, and they were still solid through open. And then I started noticing in the upper levels, the excellent and the master's levels, that there were some really hot dogs with really experienced handlers. And those handlers were having to do additional handling up to and including extraordinary measures to get their dogs to hit the contact. They'd lost it. So they were handlers that were communicating in the ring, probably maybe not as consistently, but the point is, I was noticing the rate of dogs that were losing the performance, and I started to dissect why. Because not all of them had training holes in their training program. So now I just want to reiterate that a dog that isn't trained well enough and a dog that has a handler who won't communicate in the ring are still, that's a separate, those things have to be addressed. This isn't a cure-all for that. This is for the dogs that get solidly trained, have a handler that's communicating within the rules. You can't just, whip cookies out of your pocket and start teaching. And a lot of my program goes into this, how to train in the ring, and not offend the judge, which is tricky. So what I started noticing is how I rewarded in sequence and coursework and what was happening. So let's talk, because I believe that I know for a fact, for sure, that normal sequence in coursework undermines the initial training because it looks different. It's sequence in coursework, it's handling. We don't look like we did in the training scenario of the contacts. And a lot of it has to do with this coming in and feeding on the board. Rewarding polls it's not so much like that, where we're actually running to this exact spot, which happens to be heel position, you guys. So that also is a problem, because from the time our dogs are tiny, tiny puppies, we build value in be by my leg. Anytime you're walking down the street and you're rewarding your dog for not pulling, you're paying. Rewarding is, I say the word paying. Be by my leg, stay by my leg. I love it when you're on my leg. Heeling, whether it's formal or not, all dogs are reinforced a lot on the side of us. So if we're also rewarding with the dog on the side of us at the end of the contact, we're building value in be next to me. And we want, everybody talks about wanting independent contacts. We want to be irrelevant. So my theory is you can't be irrelevant if you're running in with room service, bearing gifts and smorgasbords, and be irrelevant. So the other thing is this adrenaline break that I talk about. So when I go in and reward contacts, and when I taught it in my classes, I insisted that the handler maintain the adrenaline. So the dog would hit the contact, the handler would have to run in as fast as they could, keep that adrenaline going, feed the dog, do a little bit of proofing, get back out, start their handling again. But not a lot of folks kept it up. So most people, the dog hits the contact, there's a literal physical demeanor change. They mosey over, the dog gets the cookie, the handler retakes the position, and it starts again. So the dog is learning to perform with an adrenaline break. I can do lots of things better if I can get a little bit of an adrenaline break, but you keep that adrenaline on, pedal to the metal, like competition is. Everybody's adrenaline is building, everybody, meaning the dog and the handler performing. I don't know, maybe the judge's adrenaline is going too. I don't really know. So anyways, this adrenaline is building. There's no adrenaline break, and brains melt, doggy brains, human brains together separately. And then a performance is gonna break apart. So I decided, what if I kept that adrenaline up in sequence and coursework? What if I kept the dog jacked up and me jacked up? That would mean, and if I perfected my timing, that would mean I'd have to do all quick releases in sequence and coursework. Now that was against my own law. I kept the ratio of sticks to quick releases extremely unbalanced. Whoops. The number of sticks outweighed and what I mean by a stick, I mean the dog has stopped in the 2-on-2 off and he has to wait for the release. Oh, so I'm proofing. Most people don't. Most people do what I call a boring stick. So if you're doing boring sticks, one, you've got the adrenaline break. That means, guys, the dog has come down in sequence and coursework. You're timing, you're like 5, 4, 3, you're bored, they're bored. So they've got the adrenaline break. The other thing that is happening is if you take a second and think about how much does your dog enjoy a stand stay versus running through a tunnel as fast as he can. Now, if you have to think about that, then there's something else going on with the dog that we can talk about in another seminar. But I don't know the dog that says, I would prefer to do stand stays in the middle of the course than I would run. The idea is that we're building a love for running. Our job is to build up a love for running. So now we're going to say, once in a while here, I need you to do this stay work. Well, then we've not only got the dog is doing the performance with an adrenaline break, but we've got the dog doing something that he doesn't want to do. If the dog, this is where it gets fun. If you're asking your dog to do something that he doesn't want to do, is it a punishment? I think it can be, and I think that's all I have to know. So if you can meet me at, I think it could be, versus this scenario where they're getting to do something else that they really, really, really like a whole lot better. We're talking hot fudge sundae, Brussels sprouts. Okay. Okay. You may love Brussels sprouts like I do, or, go with the food of your choice. But, if you've got two things right in front of you and you really love one and the other one is the last thing you want in that moment, you could say, well, my dog doesn't resent stays. I can say my dog doesn't resent stays. I do a lot of work to reward them for stays. But, I know a young man who loves to do math problems. He's really good at it. He gets off on doing math problems. But if he was the next person in line for the ride at Disneyland and you gave him a math problem, I don't think he would love it the same way. So now we're saying, holy bejeebies, this behavior that I want and need so badly, that I want fast and I want energetic, is now possibly a punishment in this environment. So that's why I started realizing, can I do the quick releases? Can I avoid the sticks and do much? So can I take that scale of what I believed in my heart was imperative to the performance of most of the time you stick and once in a while you do quick? What I realized was if I was doing quick releases in competition, the dog was going, yeehaw, love this not stopping bit, Mom. I can go a step farther for you and not stop at all. And then then what would I do? I'd hold them more that week. So what am I doing? I'm making them think, I don't want to get down there and stop. Maybe I'll just jump off and miss that whole stopping part altogether. Well, there's clever beasts. That's why we love them. So I switched it all up when I wrote this article and when I wrote the next 5 and when I did the book and the seminars, and I'm looking at it as I'm going to make the release the reward. I'm going to make the dog think, I want to go. I want to run. And the way she's going to let me run super, super fast and not make me stay is if I get down there and get my feet right. Here's the problem. I've worked with some people who have trouble watching their dog's feet. They find it a huge, enormous challenge. I can't teach this program works beautifully. It's a great, if you do it right, your dog is going to have fabulous contacts. But if you can't train yourself to watch your dog's feet so that you're releasing at the right place at the right time, you're not going to be successful with it. You've got to learn that part. So you got to do what it takes, watching other dogs and then giving yourself simple, like just a figure 8, just a jump, a dog walk and a jump. You can't learn it during sequence and coursework, you guys. You can't train yourself. I do so many simple sequences with individual obstacles to get my dog fluent, because I subscribe to this, make it easy. I want it to be fun and easy, fun and easy, fun and easy. So I can build the performance in simple sequences, train myself to communicate and watch. I have to be able to do that to teach. So that's the secret to that. And then what I do is these maintenance drills. So that's what the program is. It's maintenance drills that address timing, that say to the dog, I know I just did a whole bunch of quick releases, no sticks, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to stick. So there's a balance of the quicks and the sticks. So the other thing is that the dog can do the performance with you behind them, that the dog can do the performance if you run past. And that the dog can do the performance when you're, which means wait for the release, 2 on, 2 off, 2 paws on the ground, the other 2 back paws on the obstacle, and wait for the release no matter where you're at. So the dog has to understand a few things, like he has to know where to look. If the dog is coming down the dog walk and he checks in with you before he gets his paws down, he's going to slow up, and he might even stop if you're far enough back. The board is only 12 inches wide. So there's a safety balance thing. So teaching the dog to not look at you till he gets down there is a little piece of the puzzle. I'm going off into the training bits now. So when I am handling sequence and coursework, I am doing all quick releases because I no longer try to maintain the behavior in sequence and coursework. I have separate maintenance drills. I have separate maintenance drills for my start lines with this particular dog who struggles with them. No one's ever seen him break in competition, but that's because I have a maintenance program for him. His weave poles I love training contacts. I obsess on them. Tuxedo's never had a contact performance issue, but he had a weave pole issue. So I would train and train and train. I'd fix my issue. He would be great, and they would break again. And I'm like, what the heck? Trained him the same way as all the other dogs. Nobody else has done this to me. I love how we think. And then I train him hard. Okay, I'll just proof him harder. I'll just train him more, and then he'll have it. Then he'll arrive. Well, every 6 months his poles broke again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he needs ongoing maintenance, not just what he's getting in sequence and coursework. Do my dogs need maintenance on going into tunnels? No, because it's self-rewarding. They would rather do that. Tuxedo would rather do 10 poles than 12. All my other dogs were happy doing 12. So other dogs would rather stop early and leave early. But the dogs that are stopping early are doing it because they've been trained to. The dogs that are jumping off early could be avoiding the stop. And they could also be avoiding the stress. People have a hard time staying happy when their dogs are struggling. It is the craziest thing. They start to get like worried and anxious if their dogs are having questions. So that's a personal problem, but I'll help you with that one too. So this is about being irrelevant. And this is about the adrenaline break. So I pretty much think I have covered. And we can talk. You should have some questions after what I made issue of. And I'm going to stop the screen sharing now because there's nothing I think you guys won't, there's nothing to come back to here. And I'm ready for questions. Even if you haven't decided a job description or you're considering changing a job description, if you want to ask me anything about my program in general or contact behavior in general. Do all of you have second dogs coming up where you're wondering, do you all know what your dog's current job description is? Do you have a different job description for trial than you do at home? If you'd rather type in the chat than talk, you're welcome to.
So Sandy, Loretta has been through your 2 on 2 off program.
Mm-hmm.
And in training, she is wonderful pretty wonderful. But in trialing, She has an outstanding running contact and step.
I noticed that.
I mean, I've always had running contacts with my corgis, and I love her running contact. And I think, I mean, I'm going to the place where the 2 on 2 off has developed this beautiful running contact.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
I noticed it in the video that you sent me that I was supposed to be looking at weave poles.
yeah, but that was a good part of it. I knew you would notice that.
So here's my take on this, and this is a very real thing. Sometimes you guys, I mean, in obedience, we would do this a lot too. If we had a dog that lagged in the ring, we would let them forge in training, thinking it would all come out in the wash. And if they lagged from, if they, you know, vice versa, and that can work. And right now, what you've got, so you didn't communicate with her. She did a beautiful running dog walk. And you,
Well, I gave her her feet.
that was before she ran off.
Well, you know, when she got to the top of the on ramp, I would say
You
feet
cued
to
her to
feet.
stop and she didn't.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
then but then you did, then you just kept running.
Of course I did.
Okay. Okay. So one way that we can tell a dog that we're thrilled, one way that one of the cleanest way that we can say that I love what just happened is to keep going.
Yeah.
So when we keep going, the dog should legally be able to assume that all is well in the world. Because when all isn't well in a training situation, we help. We turn on our training cap. So I haven't met the dog that when they ask the question in competition, and the question is always the same, in this environment, do we care like we do in the other environment? I know we care in the other environment. Things seem to be a little different. I just want to figure out which bets are on and which bets are off. So if you're not willing to train in the ring, if you're not willing to communicate and possibly NQ as a result, you don't get to have the behavior in the ring. You have to teach there too. So what I did with Quilly Bear is Quilly Bear stopped on her A-frame in training and she ran her A-frame in competition. The repetitions of coming down low enough got me down far enough in competition. But she was 9 when I went there. I wasn't going to stop. She was at the end of her career. Loretta, on the other hand, is at the beginning of her career. So you guys, it's all about chances and risk. So the chances of her not having a question, depending on how much of the maintenance you're doing, it's just a lot lower. So, you know, to say so whatever promoted you to do the 2 on 2 off, was that just your first choice? Was that just your first choice, or what was
no.
she missing them? You were running first, right?
I've always had running contacts with my corgis. She's like the 4th agility corgi I've had.
Mhm.
Always had running contacts. And she was taught running contacts. And then I became enamored of your program. And I also, because of her speed, wanted to be able to have her stop.
Mhm.
And for my own, you know, ability to get to where I needed to go, I just thought I just wanted to train that. So I did. I went through the whole program, and she has beautiful stop contacts when we train.
Mhm.
But I have not been able to make the jump to competition. And quite honestly, I'm conflicted because I love that beautiful running contact.
Well, then what I would honestly do is get a mat. Now, were the others, were you just lucky because they have short legs and long bodies, or did you have a system of training, the running?
I had a system of training.
Okay,
Yeah, we had a definite system.
so
We
right,
used hoops, we used mats, we used, but you know what? The thing is I always had to babysit the end of the contact. And that's why, thinking about it now, that's why I liked the 2 on 2 off in your program, because I didn't want to have to be right there at the end
right.
to make sure it all happened correctly.
So you didn't have an independent running. You had to have help to some level.
I had to be close.
Okay,
Yes.
well, that,
Right.
so you guys, what Christine and I are doing right now, this talking it through is something that I do with my mentor about when I'm deciding where I'm going to take a dog, what I need, what I want. But the chances of Loretta going year after year with two different performances, one for the ring and one for at home, and never getting confused are slim. Now, it could do something like this. Somebody say, well, my dog did it, did it. That's good. I'm just saying the chances are slimmer. So if you're getting what you want and we train distance in other ways, so here's your choices. You train a running that is somewhat dependent on handler position. So there's a few runs you don't get. There's some runs you'll go, and if you had to have an independent running and you can't handle the next bit because it's a threat to a discrimination and you have to be there and you can't babysit the contact, so you miss that one. That's the thing, you guys, is my program, and I say it in the beginning of the webinar, if you don't have to have a stopped contact in order to survive, in order to have what you want in trial, don't. Because it's a lot of work. My program is for people who have said, I will not survive the sport with the border collies that I train to the speed I train without a rock star, reliable, outstanding 2 on 2 off that I can count on every single time. I won't be able to stay on course. I won't be able to do the distance handling that I have to do. So you wouldn't want to jump through the hoops of this course if you didn't have to. But I would want you to have a reliable method for your running that you can go immediately to the very first time she jumps off. Because I don't know that we've seen all the speed after watching that last tape you sent me. I mean, like, she found a new gear already. So, and that was Mary, let's go to what we were talking about before we started. Where so Mary, you have a stopped. Did that help, Christine?
I unmute. Yes, thank you.
I strongly encourage you with a young dog to make a decision and keep your training in trial and competition the same.
Right. And I came to that late. Her birthday is today and she's 5.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not that young, and we just decided this in the last year. So,
and you will run out of how many times you can switch back and forth. That's actually what happened to Quill's A-frame, because I went back and forth so many times, there was nothing to fall back on. I'm not recommending that. That's what happened with a great dog at the end of her career. Okay, Mary.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. Talking it out, you guys, like, I think this, I want that, I'm getting this. I think this, I want that, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, I want this. With a professional can help you narrow down what you can have and and then you guys can take the risks. It's your money. I just can't always turn everything back and fix it. So Mary, you were saying that you had pretty good contacts on Quinn. And you want to keep them. And what I heard, and I might be guessing, was that you think as your speed increases, you're going to have trouble? Was that, did I dream that?
No, that's, yeah, that was good. And it's twofold really. And listening to it, it solidifies it more for me. So she rarely misses a stop contact on a dog walk or the teeter, which are the stopped contacts that I have.
Does that
But-
mean she waits for a formal release cue from you?
Correct.
Okay.
But she did miss a dog walk, and I know it's a known issue sometimes with a tunnel, like, and especially off the start line, jump, dog walk, tunnel. And so we missed that. Love AKC. We can redo it again now because that's communication, as you said.
So when you say miss, does that mean she stopped early, she ran off, or she jumped over?
She ran it. She hit it, but she ran it.
She
And
didn't
so
stop.
to me, that's miss because she didn't stop, right? She
didn't
released
stop.
herself.
Got it.
But it doesn't happen very often. And again, I fix it in competition. But what I realize is, and occasionally on the teeter, what I'll get is occasionally she'll come off the teeter too. Again, she'll hit the contact, but she'll release without me telling her to.
Okay.
And I try to be disciplined, but again, I kind of had that little goal that I wanted to get. And so depending if it was the second run of the double Q, I went for it. So now I want to go back and kind of clean it up as we go forward. And again, as I said to you, take more chances even, because it is really, I mean, she is a fast lab, and it's fun to really go for it. And so I want to go for it with that quick release, but also be able to maintain the consistency that I pretty much have. But also, it's not like I trained it probably with food initially and then a thrown toy on the stop. And now I, reward it when I'm in class, and then on the occasion that it breaks in competition, we go back and fix it, unless it's the second half of a double Q. But I don't know, did I just go all over the place there? So it's twofold. I think it's me kind of getting a little more serious about maintaining that and having kind of a rigor around, this is what I do in training, to build it even stronger than it is, so that it can withstand quick releases, because again, I'm kind of going for time now, or speed. if that makes sense.
Yeah. You want to be able to do the quick releases, but if she's already occasionally not stopping at all, is she slowing down, or is she actually accelerating? Like, I have no intentions of stopping.
No, if there's a tunnel, I would say, that's what I'm thinking now, and I have statistics on it probably, but if there's a tunnel out there, it's probably 50%, tunnel past the dog walk that
Yeah.
she's not going to stop for me. Does she miss? I can't even know if I maybe in the whole 2 years that I've been running, or she's maybe missed a dog walk, meaning missed the contact itself once, but she will run through it on occasion. Again, and that occasion is more often with the tunnel. Not every time, but it is more often if she's pretty amped. And again, I'm kind of pushing the envelope on the speed, as we talked about earlier now. So
So-
I go ahead.
So I'll make a loop with the dog walk and a tunnel at each end, and I'll just go quick release, tunnel, quick release, tunnel, quick release. And then each time I'm releasing, I'm doing the big no, which is doing the send cue to the tunnel simultaneously with the release word. So it's like, break over and over and over, meaning 4. And then on the 5th one, I'll cue that tunnel in the exact same spot, just as the foot hits, in the exact same way, and hope that my training holds up enough that the dog doesn't go because she didn't hear that break. So in my program, we're actually proofing out real handling too. We start out with want the cookie, because I say in the program, today a cookie or a toy, tomorrow a tunnel. And most labs with bumpers and tennis balls, you can make their brains drip right out the sides of their heads with a bumper or a tennis ball. So they're one of the breeds that can be a little bit easier to proof. But if the webinar, you guys, is pretty darn cheap, the self-do it. And if you see the level 1 and 2 proofing, like if you came to my field tomorrow and wanted a first lesson, I would put your dog on the end of the contact And I would take, you would tell me what his favorite food and toys were. And I would say, would you bet me $50 I can't get the dog off? Would you? I got an opening tomorrow.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that bet, and that's why I'm here, and that's why, yeah, the webinar or something going forward is, you know,
You guys, I am stunned at that it's an easy, that one concept of that maintaining the proofing. And you have to do, like, when I'm doing loop work, which is one of the things, which is what I'm talking about, I'm actually, everybody that trains with me knows I am a stickler for not releasing simultaneously with movement. Not releasing simultaneously with movement. If you lead out in my class and you release the dog simultaneously with movement, I have you go back and say, good dog, hold still and release. So I call it a clean release. But when we're getting to this upper crazy breeds, crazy adrenaline loop work, I'm actually showing that, I mean, it's all fair because it's real. I'm releasing simultaneously with movement and competition. I'm not holding, I want to win too. I want to go the instant and I'm going to go a little bit crazy on you here and scare y'all a little tiny bit. I've had some students, I was criticizing the ability for students to watch those front paws stop. And the dogs, so if you think of a dog's paw, there's pads here and there's those toe pads, right? And if you release when the first paw plants and the second paw was just planning to touch for the other one to move, you'll get a dog that won't plant that second foot. And you guys, I've had many dogs plant the first foot and they hold this foot up like, are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? They'll put are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? And that's what they're doing when they stop early. If you stop early, if you release your dogs when they stop early, and Mary, you may get that, that's often the next question. You see it in every show. You'll see it 50 times in every show. The dog stops a little early here, and you're like, no, come down a little bit. I've stopped and I'm not supposed to move. You said when I stop, I can't move. So then the handler's sweating bullets trying to get him to come down and the dog is inching. And then if you believe the release is the reward, you guys, if you believe that the release can be the reward, you must release with the 2 feet on the ground. Because if you're releasing with 1 on, 1 off, or 2 on, you're rewarding that position. And then the dog must, by law of learning, start asking, is it here, 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 or here? I know that's not your problem, Mary, but it will be somebody. So do the proofing on its own, do the loop work, which is what she needs with tunnels. And then you just go down and you cue the tunnel, but I didn't say the magic word. It's like Simon Says. And I don't scold them. If she wants to take that tunnel, I'm just standing there staring at the contact. And I'll let the dog until they get on and I can do the proofing, show them the send cue, good dog, and then release them to the tunnel. That's what they want. You can use that tunnel as a reward. Does that help?
Absolutely. I'm
Okay.
excited.
It's pretty elaborate if you want fast, solid, permanent contacts. So what I recommend is 5 to 10 minutes 3 times a week to start the maintenance. And that's doing my drills as I have them. Any other questions?
Oh, me? No, I'm good.
Yeah, anybody else?
Yeah,
Oops.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you were saying a dog goes off in trial. How do you make a correction in trial? You would send him over the dog walk again? And
Well,
get
you
him to
can
correct?
if you want in all of the organizations now have fix and continue training in the ring. You lose your score. but I would never miss an opportunity to train in the ring.
Throwing away the competition for the sake of getting it right.
Yes, but I have communicated many times with Tuxedo, and still kept my score. And what I do is I stop and say, hey, now he is trained well enough that he'll go, oh crap, mama, sorry. And he'll yes, ma'am me and fix it because it truly was a brain fart. You guys, if it's truly a brain fart, the dog truly just had a bobble, that you can mark it enough. Well, so it's just absence of ignoring it. Remember before I said, if you keep going, you're saying everything's rosy. So I haven't kept going. I've said, whoa, that's not going to fly. And then hopefully I've got another contact coming up, and then he'll tell me for sure if I made my point. He'll yes ma'am me on the next contact. But it was truly a brain fart on his part. If the dog isn't trained, then the next one they're going to blow to, or the next competition. I'm talking, I've had to say whoops to him 3 times in his career. He's 8. I mean, it's not something that happens every year. So if the dog is truly just coming off, I would, yes, throw the run away and turn it into a training run. I stand.
What my dog will do is he'll actually back into the thing if he knows he blew it. So if he goes past the contact and I go, he'll just stop and start backing up and put his feet back there.
And again. I had people not like if you had shown me my program 10 years ago, I would have said, don't do it because of that, because it's an off course. But self-fixing is such a beautiful thing in my world for my dog to go, wait, don't tell me, oh, I can fix it, mama. Because for a dog to say, I can fix it, mama, I'll make it all better for you, is such a beautiful thing. And to me, the communication between my dog and I is why I do agility. Us understanding each other is what I crave, and it's the goal. And it's my reward is when my dog understands me. It's more of a reward for me personally than a cue is. I don't want to confuse. There's not enough money for me. There's nothing. It's not rewarding for me to trick them or sell them short or lie. I don't lie. If I've said it's important, it's important. So have I ever at nationals? Of course. I didn't fly to Europe to let my team down with stopping the dog for communication. But you guys, you get a couple of hall passes. When you're consistent enough, you'll get these hall passes. So for me, I would rather be beat with a beautiful performance than ripping my dog off the contacts at a local trial to win, and then have my dog say, you lied. That's not what you taught me. Now, how the hell am I supposed to know when you mean it and when you don't? And if you don't mean this and you don't mean that, how am I supposed to know if you mean the down when the truck's coming in the street the next day? So I take it really personally and really seriously. My communication, my language with my dogs. I'm not trying to get on a soapbox and be holier than thou, but my communication with my dogs is a really, really, really big deal to me. So that's why I do agility, to show people that my dog understands me. Okay, any other questions? Amy, did I answer your question?
Yes. Yes. In other words, he would have lost his time if he stopped and back up onto the.
No, he'll be off course.
Yeah.
He'll be off course. So if you are in competition and you want to do there's a cake and eat it too on this. I have had Tux come off a couple of times. It's happened. He immediately starts to go back. Actually, it was Jigs that I don't show anymore. Jigs turns around and grabs a teeter, and he did that in competition before I could stop him. He came off, you guys, this is one part, Mary, I wanted to talk about. I got a couple minutes, you guys, this is really important. When your dogs make mistakes, this is an exception. When your dogs make mistakes because they're experimenting with a new gear, when they're going faster, you have to be really, really careful about how you tell them. You can't act like it's a big mistake. You're asking them to go fast and be accurate. That's what we're asking of our dogs. We're saying go fast and be accurate. And what happens with the 2 on 2 off is people throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what Jigsy had done is he went so fast and he got excited and he braked a little bit wrong. He surprised himself and he came off the board this much and stopped dead. He wasn't going anywhere. He was trying to be a good boy. He just misjudged it. And then he turned around and grabbed it. So I was off course. Had I just said, come on, pal, and I wouldn't correct a dog, even in practice. This is so hard for me to explain and I've only got 2 minutes. You guys, if I'm going back and forth, if I'm doing the back and forth a head drill on the dog walk and my dog comes off and slams on the brakes and has full intention of stopping, but missed the wood by this much, I'm just going to release and go as if he was on it because his intention was so great. I can't make him wrong. But what a lot of people do is they make it all about the 2 on 2 off. And if an error is made because of speed, you guys, if an error is made solely because of speed and you have intention in practice, you can just turn around and do another one and don't even communicate. And I'm really hoping that I'm making it clear the difference between an error that was all the other intentions were there. The dog drove fast, he stopped dead, and he was waiting for his relief. He just so happened to misjudge the board because of the newfound gear. I'm not going to hold that dog. I'm not going to tell him they're wrong because what's going to happen? What will his answer be? Oh, mama, I'll never make that mistake again. I'll never miss my 2 on 2 off again. And I will go just as slow as I need to for that to be. And this is why we have so many dogs. When you're teaching a dog speed versus accuracy, you cannot make it only about the accuracy. You have to notice if the dog said, oh, you want me to slow down. They'll tell it, it's obvious because they slow down to get it. And when my dogs do that 1 or 2 times, I do short ones. No, don't slow down. No. And I'll do those short ones fast and do quick releases. I still want you to slam into that. So the program in the back of the book, there's that chart so that whatever the dog's question is, I'm spoon feeding you the answer. And if you play around with it too much, they'll draw, I know what conclusion they'll draw. All she cares about if I do is 2 on 2 off. She doesn't care about the speed. Did you find that confusing? You could type yes or no, or you got it.
I thought it was perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? It's a cool program. But I'm telling you, if you teach, I'm not saying don't teach running. And I'm not saying if you can outrun your dog, you might be able to get into position and help them stop every time. This is for people with fast dogs that must have a dog. You're not going to want to do I love the training myself. It's fun for me. Like Pat White loves weed pull training, and that's why her weed pulls are a little bit better than mine. Although Tanya, I'm on the same page you are, and I owe you a phone call. How's it? Is it going good?
Sorry, I'm doing the wrong mute button. Still waiting for the second set of 6. So we're in a grace period.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Then it's not me holding you up, but I'll try to call you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, you guys. I'm going to call it a wrap. You know how to reach me. Thank you so much for coming. Please tell your friends. I could use some social media boosting, and see you next week. I'm thinking of doing something different next week.
Okay, thanks, Sandy.
Okay,
Thank
didn't forget your request for more video, Leila. I haven't forgotten.
Yeah.
No, that'd be great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, guys.